saw myself on video saying these things, Jim, and I was a monster. I was in so much pain.
Wow. Thank you for just sharing this in such detail and depth. I know it's tough. I mean, it's hitting me in the soul. I can only imagine. Welcome to the Impact Effect podcast. I am here in the Honeypod studio located at Music City Work Club with one of our amazing members. And I'm just super excited to have him on the podcast today. We have Andrew Daniel in the house, and we're going to go deep, folks, as we always do at Impact Effect with Jim Morris. And he is an author. He is the founder of Cinesomatics, and he is just crushing it right now. So we're going to dive in. Let me welcome Andrew Daniel to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Jim.
I'm excited, man. This is going to be a good conversation, bro. We had an amazing conversation the other night, and I'm excited to jump in. So, true Impact Effect podcast fashion, I asked everybody a similar question. What is the most impactful moment in your life that changed everything for the future?
Well, I'm not sure how the story ends yet, but I'll tell you how it began. It will either be the greatest love story or a tragedy. So, about 4 years ago, I met the love of my life. We met at a group meditation, and she told me later on it was love at first sight. It took me a lot longer than that, and it has been 3 years of a wild, incredible journey, and it has been a spiritual journey, actually, unlike anything I've ever done. I do transformational work for a living. I wrote a book, and I've done many healing modalities and approaches on my journey of healing in my life. And I felt I was pretty good. And then you get into a relationship. I tell folks, if you want the greatest transformation of your life, two things: entrepreneurship and relationships. And boy, I've been on the entrepreneurship journey for about 20 years. And now was the relationship journey. And I came into it feeling like I was pretty good. Like I did my work. And little did I know that one assumption would cause a lot of pain. And so we spent 3 years together, and as I believe it's in the Great Gatsby, it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. I might be misquoting, but I think that's it. And let me just share a little bit of what I struggled with during this time. I felt like I finally found my person. After 35 years, I'm like, I love this woman. And the way she looked at me, Jim. My dad even said, you know how many men would kill to have a woman look at you like she does? And sometimes I looked at her the same. And other times, I didn't. And I found this person, and a lot of my stuff came up. I met her, and right before then, I had just gotten out of a lot of scarcity and poverty. I was homeless twice. I spent many years struggling in scarcity, and I finally had my business starting to work. I wrote my book. That was tens of thousands of copies. I won an award, best-selling. I was making money, had clients. I was learning how to dress nicer, and I felt like I finally, after 3 decades, broke through. And
What caused you? What caused you to feel like you broke through? Like, what was that change of struggle to? Sounds like you were winning in those moments.
yeah, it was. I could afford rent. I was having great success with clients. It was continuous. I was starting group programs. My business was taking off. My work was being affirmed. I was embodying what I had spent 15 years learning up here. I was actually embodying it. The way that I saw the world, the things that I was writing and teaching, and I believed was actually matching most of it. How I was showing up in my body, in my life. So
Kind of taking your own medicine.
Yeah.
You felt like you were dosing it right and not just dishing it out.
yeah. And everything that I talk about in my book is all stuff that I've done myself, right? Everything in that book, something like it or the exact stuff is what I've gone through in my life. So the book is very much a teach what I've experienced, but also you teach what you need to learn. And so eventually, come to find out, I wasn't done learning, even though I thought I was. That was danger. So I felt like things were really good. And so then I met the love of my life, and she, boy, did she trigger all of my insecurities, right? She was struggling. She was in scarcity. She was doing a lot of things that I was doing that I had just gotten over. And so that really put me into terror. And so,
Do you think you were attracted to that?
well, on some level, I wanted to help. And this is, we'll find the road to hell was paved in that intention. Because I had great compassion and empathy, and this was someone I loved, and I went through 15 years of hell and struggling and suffering, and I wanted to offer that to her. I said, "Oh my God, I've just learned all this stuff. Look!" And so I wanted to teach, I wanted to share, I wanted to help her heal things that she didn't even know, because it was saved my life, transformed my life.
Were you like, here's my book?
Yes.
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I was like, hey, this is
Read
great.
this first
Yeah,
and then talk
yeah.
to me.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Something like that. And so, yeah, I didn't realize it then, but come to find out that I was afraid of going back into that place. I was afraid because it's happened so many times that I would find success. Oh, you're published on Mind Valley with all these other great teachers. 3 months later, you're homeless. Okay, your software company. All right, now you don't have a home. You're traveling. And then I met my mentor who taught me about this embodiment stuff. And he's like, well, you're actually lying to yourself. You're conning yourself about everything. You can't feel. You're narcissistic. You're taking yourself out. And so it felt like every time I thought I was good, I just got sucked in. And so I found this person, and later, 3 years later, in the jungles of Peru, in the Amazon jungle in Peru, working with shamans, I found out that I was keeping her out, that I needed her to be different. I needed her to be sanitized, and I needed her to be purified in order to merge with me, become one in union and partnership, so we would be on the same page, so we would have the same values, so we could travel the world together and run business together. And but it wasn't about her, right? It was about me. So
Do you think that's possible?
What?
To become one with someone and have all the same values and have all the same outlooks and approaches?
I can't make that claim anymore. Yeah, we'll get to that. Good question. At the time I did. At the time, yeah, I thought, of course. How are you going to have this conflicting stuff? There was a sense of contamination, and I'm not proud of that. And
Things like just values or like religion or politics? Like, was this?
no, religion, politics, dude, everything on paper, everything in front of my eyes was perfect. I mean, those values, lifestyle values, completely aligned. But other things, all of the things that were my insecurities weren't. And my gifts, right? The things that were my gifts. So I'm really good with technology. I got all sorts of fancy, fun toys and stuff to make your life better. Beautiful rugs, artwork, this kind of stuff, which is all things that I was learning, going from living in a bachelor pad to learning about beauty and making my space wonderful. And a lot of the more feminine things. And here I come, meet this woman, and those aren't things that she values or were taught. And so I'm an untraditional man in the sense that I value those certain things compared to, let's say, the average guy. And she was an untraditional woman that she didn't value those things, right? So it was like, I'm the fancy dressing city slicker guy, and she was kind of the tomboy going out camping kind of girl, which is great. I was a Boy Scout, love camping too. I wanted both. And that attachment and fear drove me to want to change her and make her into something that I wanted, rather than accepting her how she was. And it was all under the guise of helping. So all of this brought up my insecurities and was projected onto her. And also, she was not prepared for the level of stuff that I was offering. And I brought her into my group programs and my workshops, trying to help. And over the years, we were fighting a lot. And it got really, really bad. I was trying to get her to see things a certain way, because when someone got me to see those things that way, everything in my life improved. It was incredible for me. But I came in with that dogma. Here's the truth. Literally, here's the truth. And we would spend 4-5 hours a night just cycling, me trying to get her to see it, her doing her stuff, me doing my stuff. And I really thought if I could get her to see these things, she'd be like, oh, I see the light. Oh, wow, you're right. I am playing dumb. Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't know this. Oh, yeah, you're right. And then we'd be happy. And so
Were there moments of that?
Yes.
There was moments
Yes.
where she's like, oh, I agree with this, or I see it that way and I concur. And there was moments of that, but not all moments, clearly.
Most not moments, and the paths leading to those moments were arduous and horrific. And I thought it was worth it. I'm like, it's the truth. I literally say in my book, make truth the most important thing. And
Your truth.
No, the truth. And that was part of the danger, is that some of those lines got blurred. There was an objective truth. And the problem is that it was truth at the expense of everything else. And I later learned that truth needs to be in service to love, and love into truth. And it was truth just in the service of ego. It's still true, but it was at the expense of everything. So fight and fighting and fighting and fighting. And she was also having breakthroughs, right? So she was transforming, learning, growing. And then you can imagine 3 years of that, resentment, pain, heartache, suffering, confusion, my impatience. And so,
Is this like screaming at each other, fighting, like top of the lungs, like
yeah,
using profanity, like all like intense conflict?
yeah. No physical violence, no laying hands on each other. And for me, that was familiar to me, right? My parents fought all the time when I was younger. And for her, it wasn't. She never saw her parents fight. And so she was in absolute terror, feeling completely unsafe. And I'm like, this is normal. We'll get through the fight. Like, if you would just agree with me, if you would just see it, we wouldn't have to fight so much. And she's like, well, if we didn't fight so much, maybe I would feel safe enough to see this. And I didn't know how to do that.
Wow.
And-
wow. That's wow.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it like that. The comfort and safety of presence through alignment would actually allow me to open up, reposition some potential thoughts, and maybe come to an understanding or agreement. But in those moments, she was like, no way.
No, I only knew one way, right? I had a hammer, I had a sledgehammer, and it works with my clients. It worked with me. It works with everyone else except my woman. And I didn't know the difference. I'm like, well, this works for everybody. It has to work with you. And if it doesn't work for you, what does that mean about me? What does it mean about my work? So there was an image, there was a identity attached to it, because my work was my identity. And if the person I love can't even, there was a big,
The one you wanted to help the most, and you can't transform them into the truths that you wish to believe and navigate life with, then who are you?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Are you fake? Are you a fraud? Are you full of shit?
yeah,
And that came from the attachment.
yeah, yeah. And the hardest part is that there was, evidence, it was like, and she said, 99% of what you said is true. And so that wasn't the problem. It was everything else, which I'll get to very shortly. So yeah, a lot of fighting, but we loved each other. And so when we made love, it was heaven. And when I did what I did, it was hell. And that was really confusing, I think, for both of us. So at some point, I realized I broke up with her temporarily. And then the next day, I realized I made a mistake. And I got to see my stuff. And then I realized on my own accord that I was emotionally abusive. And then I found a course. There's very little resources out there for the abuser, because most abusers or narcissistic people don't acknowledge it, and it's usually the victims that are the ones that need the help. And
Get out of it, or be the gray rock, they call it, right? Or use these different approaches, but not so much of, well, I think that's me. How do I change?
Yeah.
How do I become the person I want, knowing that these actions, these repetitive approaches continue to pop up, continue to trigger. How do I break it down? How do I move through it to the other side?
Very few resources. And I found one, and it was amazing. It was very hard to go through. And so we tried again. I went through that program. It got better for a while, and then it got worse.
In those moments, how would you categorize you on a scale of 1 to 10 regarding narcissism?
My bad moments, if we're going to look at the lowest and highest, an 8. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't malicious on purpose. I wasn't manipulating. I never lied to her. I never cheated. I was never dishonest. It wasn't purposeful. It was other things. So yeah, it was pretty bad. But so yeah. Then, yeah, so then, yeah, so then it was about, I feel maybe another year, and that's, we got some help. We saw a relationship guy, and that only lasted a few sessions because I was in competition with him as a healer myself, and I'm like, she's manipulating him and getting him on her side, and everything is about Andrew and how Andrew needs to change. And I'm like, great, I'll work on this stuff. What does she need to work on? And they're like, it doesn't matter because you're doing, you're the one that needs to do the thing because you're the one doing the thing that's preventing her from doing the thing. And then we were doing other certain medicine journeys and everything. I flew us to Peru and went to do work with shamans. I'm like, this is kind of like this has to work, this is the thing. So we spent a week in the jungle, and I was faced with the deepest shadows and darkness in myself, and I got to see the shadows in myself that I never even considered or knew existed. And so I was doing really deep work on my shadow. And then at the end, this isn't the truth, but this is how I perceived it, right? So this isn't actually what happened, but this is what I heard. I'm sharing with her, after these experiences, like, oh my God, I was like a terrible person. I've kept you out. I've tried to pick you apart. I was showing me all these things. And I'm like, what did you learn? Like, what did you learn for you to do your part, right? And she's like, oh, it just put me to sleep and said it really doesn't matter what I do yet until you take care of your stuff. And that pissed me off. Like, I just spent fucking $15,000. It's like, I'm here to do my work. I really was. And I'm like, come on, you got a part to play too. We did this just to say that it was all my fault. And
Sounds like you're keeping score.
Yeah. 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 I was like, come on, man, this can't all be me. And yeah, there's been keeping score, but I think a big theme was fairness. It was like, I've already done 15 years of work, man. You got to do something. Like,
help a brother out.
Yeah. It's like, I felt like I did pretty, like, man, is it really all me? Like, and that fucked with my sanity. So my sanity was really messed with because I'm like, I can see her doing this stuff. I know I'm not crazy. But then she's also, I can see him doing his stuff. I'm not crazy, but he can't see it. Nobody else is seeing it. She's going crazy. I couldn't see it. And so we got back, and I think it got worse because I got resentful.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah, it got worse.
So this is at this point, how long from identifying and moving through it, or trying to move through it?
Yeah, so
Like a year and a half at this point?
no, that would have been about less than a year.
Less than a year.
Yeah. So this was a year last November, not this November, but the November before. And I was in a lot of pain, and that fairness thing was really coming up because I felt like I could hold her in her shadow and her pain. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. And every time that I expressed my hurt and my pain, whether true or not, she didn't want to see it. She didn't want to hold me in the pain because she could not fathom why I would be in so much pain. And so what ended up happening is I just grew resentful and justified, and entitled. And I started saying really hurtful things and fighting all the time. And
What's a hurtful thing that you said to her?
so I went back and listened because I had some of these fights recorded for my own sanity, right? It was like, that's not what I said. This is what you said. No, I said this. No, you didn't say that. So I'm just like, we got to record this just to figure out what reality is. It was getting that bad. It was like, we didn't know what was real anymore because I thought I said something. She thought she said something. So I went back and listened. I think, this is really hard to say. I remember being on a call and saying, you fucking bitch, everything I've done for you, if you don't get your fucking shit together, I'm fucking done. We're through. Like, everything I've done for you, you're lucky I haven't dumped your sorry ass. And she's just sitting there. This was a video call I had recorded, and she's just staring and she's just frozen. And I saw myself on video saying these things, Jim. And I was a monster. I was in so much pain. And so shortly after that call, that video, I got an email. Andrew, we can't do this anymore. I love you so much. I know I got my stuff, but you're really abusive. You need help. You won't see it. Here's some people that care about you. Get some help. I'll see you in a week to drop off your stuff and drop the car off. And what's interesting about that moment is the day before, I prayed to God. And I grew up religious. I'm more, you would call spiritual, not religious. And
meaning like you talk to God or you talk to someone and you have a relationship, but not so much like the step-by-step going to church, doing the X, doing the Y, doing the Z.
Sort of. Yeah. I didn't quite have that person to talk to yet. And that's you asked the moment. We're leading up to that moment.
I'm jumping ahead, man. You're getting me excited over here because I know the strength that comes with some of the struggle. And in our short conversation the other night, I can feel that strength coming. So
Yeah.
excited for you to share that.
Getting there. Yeah. So yeah, that night before, I had just got done a few days before. We had another fucking fight. I was raising my voice at her at a restaurant. Ooh. Oh my God. And then we were texting, and I just started going off on her. I'm like, you don't fucking care about me. I'm like, every time I try to tell you this is what I need, this is what I want, and she was just not being how I wanted her to be. And I was just so tapped, man. I just so hurt. And so the Monday, that weekend, I didn't hear back from her after a text. Like a day went by, I didn't hear back from her. And I literally looked up in my bedroom. I remember the moment. I prayed to God. I said, God, by the end of this week, I need to know if she's the one or not. I need to know if this is it, because I can't do this anymore. And come to find out, she was also praying. And that same weekend, she went and did a medicine journey. And she went into that journey asking for answers about this too. And the next day, I got an email, and she said, we're done. And I was like, okay, well, I guess maybe that's my answer. And in that email, she also shared what she learned on that journey, on that medicine journey. And it was incredible. What she shared, what she wrote, she shared the full experience. And I don't know what it was, the prayer or that journey or the breakup. But I could see everything for the first time. Not everything. What she shared in the email, I could see it. And I was like, this is all true. My terror, the spiritual reasons for what's happening, what I was doing. Then the next day, read that email, and what do I do? Well, come to find out, I didn't have too many people to turn to. Come to find out, pretty much only had, I think, one person I could text, and my family. I was like, wow, this is revealing. This is revealing. And so I called my mom, and I called my parents. I told them, and I'm in shock. Because I felt like, oh my God, this is a breakthrough. Like, what I was realizing and seeing was like, oh my God, this is what we've been asking for, right? This realization. And then no contact for that week. And so talked to my mom, and she said, do you need me to come out there? And I had a choice point. My ego comes came up. Like, I'm 38 fucking years old. I need my mommy to come out when I have a breakup. And
Mom,
yeah, mommy, come out here.
can you call me?
Yeah. And
But you probably did need it,
I
dude.
did.
You did.
I did.
Yeah.
And so I said yes.
Good for you.
Yeah. And that was very humbling. And she booked her, got the ticket booked, and then her flight was delayed a day. And so I'm like,
Delayed a day.
A day.
Not an hour or two.
Yeah.
So you had some time to think.
Yeah. I had a day by myself alone. And
Funny how that works, dude.
yeah. Oh, the timing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hello. Hey, you need to sit in your shit a little bit right here and work through it.
Yeah. Well, I've had about 6 months to do that. Yeah. So,
But not after you prayed to God.
yeah. Yeah. And so she came out, and I was a wreck, as I would be. And I realized that the answer to my prayer was not the message that I got in the email. And I realized she was the one. Is. Yeah. So you would think that was the message, right? And I'm like, yeah, but how I feel inside is completely, it's like, oh my, this is the most loving thing anybody's ever done for me. To stop this, your courage to end it, the courage to walk away from our future together, to from a potential future family in a life that she wanted. The strength in she loved me. She didn't hate me. She loved me. And so what she gave up in order to protect herself, to save me, was if she felt a connection with what she said, our daughter. And so
You're making me cry, dude.
So she felt that, and for her to be willing to not meet so what her courage, her strength to walk away from this it's just, I didn't have it. You know, I wasn't willing to walk away. I could not. I loved her, and I wanted it to work. I mean, Jim, I literally have a note. Literally have a note where she says, "I will never give up on you or me or us." And so my mom gets here, and one of the things that my partner shared with me in the email was a lot of my issues with her were issues with my mom. Daddy issues, mommy issues, right? And so when my mom got there, my mom got out here, we started talking. And I started sharing some of these things. And she tells me something I never forget. She says, "Andrew, I don't know if you even love me. Your own mother not knowing if you even love her because of the way that you've treated her. And that fucking took me by surprise. I'm like, of course I love you. And, she's like, well, it doesn't feel like it. And so I realized my mom and I had a lot of healing to do.
The woman who got on a plane at a dime, had a delay, a day, that came to you in your hurt,
time of need,
didn't even know if you loved her. Wow.
Yeah. Now imagine how my partner must have felt. I'm doing a lot worse to her. And so it's became that week. My partner said it'll be a week, and then we'll come and exchange things. I spent a week, the most miraculous. I'll go into it. I hope we still have time because there's a lot more here. Miraculous week of my life. So my mom and I started talking, and we got everything off our chest, and we started doing our healing that we've never done before. And it was really hard because she had moments where she's like, I don't feel safe. I feel like I'm being manipulated and gaslit. And I'm like, oh my God, I just am trying to show you. And so it was simultaneously, not everything, but most things that my mom is like, this is how you make me feel. I'm like, oh my God, this is literally what my partner.
She's saying to you. There's through line amongst the two relationships.
100%. And I was like, oh my God. And so it was really hard because I was there. My mom was there healing our stuff, but I'm simultaneously like, this is what I'm healing with. This is what I have to heal for her. So I'm literally moving through the shame, the guilt, the horror, the remorse, the regret, the coming face to face, the absolute terror for not only my partner but for my mother. And
proud of you for moving through that, dude.
Thank you.
That's admirable.
Is the hardest week of my life. So understand.
And you're still here with us.
Yeah, that's the blessing. So this is about 7 months ago. So we're talking about crying and screaming in so much agony that my body is falling backwards off the couch. Like the most excruciating horror of what I've done. I mean, yes, there was a narcissistic collapse of losing the love. But there was primarily this is what I say. I woke up one day and realized that I was the bad guy in the story. That, that villain that you watch in the movie, that is me. Like, not just, I know spiritually, sure, we can imagine we're all one, all this kind of stuff. But no, I was like, I'm a bad person. And I felt unforgivable. I felt monstrous.
Where's your relationship with your mom today?
A lot better. Yeah.
Does she know you love her?
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for your detail too.
Yeah.
Man, you got me, dude. I was like, I'm not laughing. I'm uncomfortable because you hit me. There's tendencies where I've done a lot of this stuff too. As you're saying it, and I'm thinking today, I don't know if my mom knows that I love her. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to happen. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing this.
So it's tragic. So I felt like death. I felt like a monster. I felt unforgivable. I felt like I was a few steps away. Someone should put me in jail. Again, there was no physical violence. I never touched her, and the emotional abuse, is horrific. My mom spent a day with her while she was out here, and she came back and said, Andrew, she's like, she has PTSD. She like, her mind, her brain's fucked up. Like she's literally traumatized.
How'd that feel to receive that in that moment?
I'm a fucking healer for like a profession, man. I was trying to help and to find out that instead of helping, I was hurting. And it was because of me, and I have no excuses. I take 100% responsibility for everything. And taking ownership of that. It was like proof that I did bad things. And
do you think you're that man today as we sit here and have this conversation?
No. It's been a big journey since then. So I'll get to the moment, because you asked what's the moment. We're not at the moment yet. So I'll get to that. So we'll kind of do this in reverse. We'll lead up and end on the moment. So I felt monstrous. I felt unforgivable. And my partner and another friend sent my mom the same prayer, unbeknownst to each other. And then, so that prayer came. I bought a Bible, right? Giant family heirloom, hundreds of dollar fancy Bible. Never opened it before. And so this prayer came, and I said, fuck it, man. I use anything. I don't care. So I opened up the Bible, and it is Psalm 23. And like I said, I'm open, but I'm not a big let's read Bible verses. But I read this, and my mom read this. So I read this out loud, and then I had my mom read it out loud. And can I read it?
Yeah, please do. Please.
So funny enough, my mom goes to a random antique store and finds these little cards, and they're in envelopes. You can't read them. You don't know what they are. She reaches in and picks one, and it's literally Psalm 23.
What?
Yeah, like 4 days later. Yeah.
And she's not looking for
She's not
that.
looking for
She's
it.
just in an antique shop.
And you can't even see them. And the one she draws is this. And that's why I have this. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall... Okay. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me besides the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths for righteousness for his name's sake. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my forehead with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now, the only time I've heard that was in Pulp Fiction. the movie Pulp Fiction. Yeah. If you've ever seen that, you know the scene. That's my only reference point. And so as soon as my mom reads that, I'm imagining the image that comes to me is me being the one sheep who is strayed. That the shepherd leaves the flock to find the one. I didn't just wander off. I went off and did bad things. I wasn't just down the road. I was in fucking Antarctica, man. And I prayed to God. I prayed to God for mercy, for grace. I never knew what grace was, mercy was. And I heard God speak to me for the first time in my life. You asked me, this was in the beginning of the call. You have talk with God, or I'm very spiritual, but I did not have a relationship with God. In fact, I was an altar boy, and I think at about 21, I have this cross necklace that I literally put in a safety deposit box. It's been in there for 15 years that I haven't worn. And how symbolic is that I locked away my relationship with God. And so I
Literally in a lockbox.
Literally.
Like not just, let me ignore this, or let me remove this from my practice or my perceptions. You literally put it in a fucking box and locked the lock and hid it away from you.
Yeah. And so this was the first time God spoke to me, like for real. I know what my own voice, I know what my own thoughts sound like, and this was different. And I was offered grace and mercy and forgiveness. And I felt that grace and mercy and forgiveness from my mother and from my partner. I could feel it, and I could feel it from God. And
what did he say?
It's hard to remember all of it. The one thing that stands out was essentially, a few things. One was, it kind of like the prodigal son. It's grace and mercy aren't for the good. We think we have to be good to have forgiveness and to be offered grace and mercy. But if you're good, you don't need it. And I was shown that mercy and grace and forgiveness comes from unconditional love. And I realized in that moment that I loved everybody conditionally. And so my love for my partner was conditional love, and hers for me was unconditional love. And I was trying to change her and fix her. And I experienced unconditional love from God. And I was left with a purpose. It was you. And remember, I felt unforgivable, Jim. I felt like I just hurt. I abused the person I love the most. I don't deserve this. But I knew enough that I had to move through my shame. I knew that staying in the shame and the guilt was not going to be the way out. So I asked for the help, and it was offered to me. And he told me, I was offered this. You are given this so that you may give others. And I didn't have it to give, Jim. I couldn't be the husband. I couldn't be the father that I needed to be for her, because I didn't even know how to have unconditional love. And so I remember in that moment, I was tested. It's like, oh, I will offer this to anybody for anything. And it was like, anything? Are you serious? And it's like, what's the one thing that you would feel unforgivable? And it's like, all right, well, what if she had an affair? What if she had an affair, cheated on me? Could I forgive her for that? Could I let her back into my heart after that? And I was offered a choice point. And I said, if I can be forgiven for this, if there's any hope for me, yes. And then didn't leave, but that whole altered state kind of went away. And and so that was turning point in my life. And from I think a day or two later, wild stuff started to happen. I baptized myself. A cross appeared on my forehead, my third eye here. There was an exorcism. I had a psychotic break for 2 days. That's a whole nother story.
Part two.
Yeah, part two.
We're gonna get you back here,
Yeah.
dude. This is wow. Thank you for just sharing this in such detail and depth. I know it's tough. I mean, it's hitting me in the soul. I can only imagine, because I don't think you're broken. I don't think anybody's broken. I just think we forget who's there for us in our darkest times.
We're the ones, anytime I realized when we feel forsaken, Jesus said on the cross, why have thou forsaken me? And then it was like a fucking thunder. It's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, I never leave you. We're the ones. We choose to put him in a box. And it was the most religious experience. I've had many spiritual experience, but it was very religious and very disorienting. I'm a fan of Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. I'm fully holistic. I take a lot of different perspectives. But when I was in a time of need, who showed up? It was Christ. It was God. It wasn't any other figure. And that reoriented my life. And so since then, I realized, well, maybe I'll save it for part two.
To be continued. Thanks for being here today, dude. This must have been tough to share. You went very deep and very honest, and it's tough to hear, I'm not going to lie. It's very relatable. Very relatable to, I think, so many people in one way, shape, or form, right? And We all make mistakes. We all drift. But you've been pulled back, brother. And that's admirable because you've allowed it to happen.
And that's the difference. You know, I tried it before. But my healing has not been of my hand alone. This has been a divine intervention. I know it sounds crazy. I didn't even believe it until I experienced it. But yeah, we are loved. All of us. And it was so hard going online and seeing how every single person said, once an abuser, always an abuser. Once there was, and I get it. Listen, I get it. If there's somebody abusing you, if you're with a narcissist, get out. Get out. Most of the time, it's just not going to happen. But if it's you, there is hope. I mean, because I'm a different man than I was a year ago, 7 months ago. People have shared with me. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's the hardest thing. And we're still in no contact. It's the hardest thing, but that during that time, I've done so much healing and growing and learning, and I'm so grateful. God took away my hatred. My hurt, my hatred, my anger, my malice. I don't want to be that person, you know, but I was. And until I was willing to see it, and pray and ask for help, wasn't going to do it myself. And yeah, so that's the moment that changed everything for me.